Give me the most Michael or unbelievable moment you did with your dad.
I look back on it now, and it's shutting down toy stores. I think that's just insane.
That's crazy.
It's really, and for like three of us, for me, that was normal growing up. But looking back and seeing it now is...
Chris Jackson, it is so good to see you. How are you, man?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Let me just start this whole thing off. Obviously, Michael, you know my love for your dad. We've talked about this forever, and I was so excited for this movie, and it did not disappoint in the least. Oh, my God. Before I start this whole thing off, let me just drop a couple of stats on you, and I usually get these things wrong because these notes are crazy. Michael set all kind of records opening weekend. I mean, just set and break it. If there was a record, it was basically broken. Biggest Tuesday for a film, if you're into Tuesdays, you know. Not to mention the album, multiple Michael albums have recharted since the film. I mean, this thing is bigger than big. It is absolutely just spectacular. Your thoughts, not that it's all about, you know, dollars and cents and all that, but your thoughts on the success of the opening weekend.
A lot of pride and love, because so much work and hard work and dedication from everyone went into this. And it's really gratifying because I think that leading up to the release of the film, the critics were coming out, and as is usual, I think that mainstream media and institutions bet against my father.
Bad move.
You know, and he always was, is, and always will be a man of the people. And I think that the people have spoken, and they've shown that he still very much is the king.
Amen. And like I saw these like Rotten Tomatoes at one point, like 37%. And I'm thinking, you must be nuts. Just crazy. And of course, when I saw the movie and then the people, like you said, started watching this, it's just through the roof. You've seen it 14 times, you told me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dolby Cinema or IMAX?
I'm partial to IMAX because I think you have to experience this on the big screen. I never got to see my dad perform live. The closest I ever got was the Madison Square Garden right before 9/11.
Right.
And I was very young. And so for me to be on set every day and there for the performances, I saw them in person, and it was amazing. And to see them on the big screen in a way that audiences have never really seen before, I feel like I have to recommend it in IMAX. It deserves that screen.
How emotional was it for you to see the movie?
To be honest, most of the emotion came from the making of the film, and I think that it was just this sense of joy and relief after we had done this project for so long, and to finally have a final product, 2 hours, 10 minutes, right around there, to see what started on the page come to the big screen. Just such a rewarding experience.
And the most powerful moment, whether it be watching the movie or, like you said, in the making of, what was the most powerful moment for you?
I think certainly seeing my cousin Jafar in person, in his hair and makeup for one of our early camera tests really was, it's hard to explain what it felt like, because I hadn't seen my dad in a long time. And for a split second, he was there in front of me. And my cousin Jafar really worked his butt off to bring that authenticity and carry himself that way. And I also, the concerts, those were so emotional for me to be a part of, because that's, for a long time, that was a lifelong dream that I never thought I'd be able to achieve. And I didn't get to see Michael Jackson in concert, but I got to see the next best thing.
Man, okay, when you're, I guess the way I want to phrase this, you're seeing Michael for, you know Michael Jackson as dad.
Yep.
In a way that we'll never know. But you're seeing Michael finally through the eyes of fans. And that must be just, did you realize the impact he had? I don't know how to put that. I know you realize.
Still to this day, I'm realizing the impact that he had. I'm so blessed to travel the world, and everywhere I go, someone always has a story about my dad and how he changed their life. And the older I get, the more and more I appreciate it, the more and more I realize it. But even after seeing the response to the release of the film, so many people are saying that they feel inspired now, that they want to go and pursue their dreams. And that was a hope for us when telling this story, is my father is an inspiration, and we want to reignite that inspiration to the people. And so for me to be hearing this from people I know or people I don't know on the internet expressing how inspired they are is such an incredible experience.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're talking to a guy, you already know this, but you're talking to a guy that has 3 Michael Jackson-inspired tattoos, Prince, and the way he inspired me, I'll get real specific on you. When I first started off in radio, I was a young kid, and I thought in my head I don't know if I ever told you this or told many people this. I thought in my head that in the radio world, and I was wrong, but you had to have this deep voice, like this big, deep voice. And I didn't have that. So what am I going to do? And then I hear Michael talk, and then it hit me like what I think might be a negative could be my biggest positive. That his speaking of his speaking voice, that kind of set him apart in a lot of ways. Forget the dancing and the singing. That it made you go, wow, is that Michael Jackson talking? And it made me think, dude, maybe this is not a negative. And that really, I'm not just saying this after the fact, that hit me at the moment. So your dad inspired me in so many ways, and that's one of the reasons I'm sitting here, almost 30 years on Kiss FM because of your pop.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. Any Michael stories in the movie that you didn't know?
I had always heard that there was a giraffe at Havenhurst, but I thought it was a joke, like
Really?
Where are you going to fit the giraffe? It's such a big animal. And during the research phase of the development, we were pulling a lot of photos and everything like this and going through archives. And there was an old photo of a giraffe there at Havenhurst. And that, my grandma told me this. My uncles told me this. Some of my cousins. No. I was like, all right, that's a tall tale. We just tell in the family, right? No, there's a photo of it. There was actually a giraffe there. And that might not be such an interesting story to learn, but it was definitely one of the ones that was, wow, that's a trip. Even during the research for the film, when you follow the history of the family, in my opinion, or what I've learned is, I think that my father was kind of experimenting with what he ultimately wanted the rest of his life to look like when he was building Havenhurst. Right. And when you look at Havenhurst and go to the property, it's beautiful, but you see these elements that are inspired by Disney, and it's almost, we have a toy display, we have the studio there, there was a theater there.
Okay, God, it's I've only been to Havenhurst, twice I believe, for your Thriller nights, and walking, and you see part of this in the movie. You'll see the driveway, in the movie, and then you see the staircase, kind of a circular staircase that went up to Michael Jackson, to your dad's room.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the night I was hosting one of the events you had there, and I said I need a place to make some notes because I bring all these note cards and I like to have notes. So you, or one of your, I think it was you, put me in that room. And there was no lights in there because I guess you guys are remodeling that room, but I got to stand in this pretty good sized closet to make my notes. And I'm thinking, as I'm doing it, I'm thinking like, I got to make my notes. And after I'm making these notes, I'm like, oh my God, I'm in Michael Jackson, in his room.
Yeah.
So that property is special. And you guys showed me, I think some of the other your crew and friends and whatnot showed me some photos on the walls and everything. It's just beautiful. I have to know, did you sneak into any theaters to watch audience reactions?
I had a lot of people that did sneak into theaters and they shared their reactions. It has been such a long journey for me and for us collectively that I wanted to just enjoy the movies finally out. I went to go see a separate movie with my cousins earlier this week. And Michael was playing in the theater next to us. So before we popped into our movie, we went into that theater, and it was right at the Don't Stop montage section. So it was really, really cool to just peep in there and see how people are reacting.
When you walked in, anybody noticed you in there?
No. Yeah, it was the scary part, right? Where I'm here to see a movie. I don't want to get surrounded by people, and now it turns into like a press thing. So we, kept the hats low and just peeped in and then hopped out.
Oh, man. And I know you touched on this earlier. Did Jafar, he basically transformed into your dad. And did he do anything, like, give me the moment where it kind of freaked you out, like, oh my God, that's my dad right there.
Certainly it was that camera test when I saw him in person.
What was it about the camera test? Can you get
It was seeing him in person, because prior to that I had seen photos of him in hair and makeup on a computer or a phone screen. I had also heard some of his audio notes. He was practicing his speaking voice as my dad and sending them to Graham, the producer. And when Graham played it for me, I thought he found some never before heard audio of my dad. And he's like, no, that was Jafar. No AI or anything like that. Dude. So there were moments where it crescendoed into, wow, this is real. Jafar's the one who's playing him. He's my cousin. I'm sure he's going to do a great job, but I didn't think he was going to do that great of a job. He exceeded all expectations we had of him, that I had.
Anybody who thinks that Jafar got that just because he is a Jackson, see the movie and your questions will be answered in just a matter of seconds, man.
Even to that point, though, I see my cousins, I try to see them frequently or regularly, but when Jafar was working on this project, we didn't see him. The only time that I actually saw him was when we went to Havenhurst because I had a Heal LA thing or something. He's covered in sweat, dancing, just on his own. Nobody told him to. It wasn't part of his schedule. He had to keep himself in that state.
I think I read or I saw a piece on him talking about rehearsing at Havenhurst. And he said that's the one place or one of the places that he could feel the, for lack of a better word, the spirit or the aura of your dad. And I guess when you walk in that room, do you feel the same thing, the rehearsal space?
It's the property overall is special, and to my point where I was saying that he was experimenting a little bit with what Neverland ultimately would be. You feel his presence and that joy throughout the property. And there are definitely rooms like the memory room where you can see a lot of that intention behind it. And it's such a special place. There's so many stories going around. Did you see Jafar went to visit Bubbles, but it was an AI photo? So nobody really verifies these things.
I did see that. I wasn't even going to bring that up, but that is not true.
That is not true. And when you see the photo, at first glance, it's like, oh, I didn't know Jafar went to go see Bubbles. He would have told me that if he did. But then you zoom in, and his face looks a little off. It's not my cousin. It's an AI version of it.
That is so okay. Is Bubbles still alive in a retreat somewhere?
Yes, he's at the Great Ape Sanctuary, I believe, in Florida. My father's estate still pays for his food. I'm told he likes it in a backpack. I'm not sure why, but I've been told he likes to have his food given to him in a backpack.
See, that's how crazy things start, because I bought that.
There was a half a second where I thought it was real too, but you do your little Instagram sleuthing, you zoom in and stuff. And again, because I saw Jafar maybe like 2 days before that photo, I feel like he would have told me if he went to go see Bubbles, and that never came up.
That's funny. Hey, if your dad watched this movie, which I'm sure he is somewhere, that's what I believe. What do you think his favorite part of the movie would be?
I feel that from a performance perspective, I think that Bad is one of those ones that's just so electric and just so inviting, and it's especially on IMAX, the big screen. But I think that he would be really proud of the sequences in the burn hospital.
Oh my God.
Very emotional, right? And I think that what's so important, even in that moment where he's dealing with his own pain and uncertainty of his own future, he's taking his time to spend moments with people who are dealing with similar burns as him, or even worse burns. And there's that one photo of him where he's in the burn, he's got the glove on, and the guy is like fully bandaged, and to be able to recreate that, again, as true to form as we could, I think was very important. And I hope that he would be happy to see him portrayed in that way.
I know I've talked to you a lot about this, and one of your things you're most proud about when it comes to your dad is his philanthropic work. And I think this movie represents that pretty well. He did visiting hospitals, going to the toy store, signing autographs at the toy store, then bringing the toys to. Do you feel, I assume you feel the same way on that?
Without a doubt. My father means so much to so many people over so many decades, right? And one of the challenges you have in making a major motion picture for audiences around the world, how do you pick and choose what goes in this film, what's not in this film, to create a narrative that audiences can relate to? And I think that with this film, we were speaking before this, is why I think you need to watch it a couple of times. Is the first time you have some apprehension about what are they going to touch on, what are they not going to touch on, did Jafar do a good job, is it really Michael on that stage, all these questions, right? And then after you get through it and you can you can breathe a little sigh of relief, and you watch it again, you notice so many nuanced ways that they address so many things that did happen to my dad or that affected his life. The vitiligo, the burn incident. And so I think that there's so many things, going back to the philanthropic part, that we layered in there because it was important for me to show that. Is I think one of the greatest things. We have celebrities and entertainers all over the world today, big stars, none like my dad. He was the king, still is. But what was so meaningful about it is he took time and spent time with not just his fans, but people who are less fortunate than him, because that's just who he was. And when our goal for this film was to humanize him and to show who Michael was, not the king of pop.
Right.
And I think that we did a good job of capturing many facets of his personality.
Let me just state this. This is my case for your dad being the greatest of all time. We're roughly, let's say, call it 40 plus years after his peak, if you want to call it that. 17, I think, years after his passing, and he's still affecting music and pop culture today. Mm-hmm. Artists come in, I talk to every day today, reference him by name or by movement. He is affecting pop culture way after his peak. But I think this movie introduces people to Michael in a way that, say, for example, some social platforms can't. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that his music is timeless, and all of us know his music. And familiar with it. And I'm hoping that with this, and I'm seeing it, there are young kids who are posting on social media Jackson 5 songs that they didn't know until watching this film. So to reintroduce that whole era of my dad and my family's life to new audiences, because it's a feel-good era. It's also inspirational. And I think it's really exciting to see. And I've already seen it. I'm hopeful it will continue to provide context into this man was larger than life. You know what I mean? A lot of people see him as almost a non-human type of figure. They idolize him so much. And I think it's important for audiences of all ages, whether you grew up with him or you didn't and you're just learning about him, to know that at the end of the day, he was a human being and he bled, he cried just like the rest of us.
All right, we talked about Jafar's performance, and the entire cast was just spectacular. But I have to bring up Colman Domingo, who played Joe Jackson, your granddad. How would you describe his performance? Because it was, if he didn't get an award, or at least some serious noms, Jafar included in that.
Yes.
God, I mean, come on.
Colman is such a great guy, a real stand-up man of integrity. And I actually remember his first day on set, he was in his trailer, and he asked for myself and my Uncle Marlon to come to his trailer because he asked me the question. He said, what is it something that you want me to know about your grandfather that I can bring to the role? And I thought that was a very stand-up way to do it. And my Uncle Marlon was with me as well, and that's his father. So I didn't want to intrude on their conversation because he asked a similar question to my Uncle Marlon. So after I gave him my kind of 2 cents on my grandpa as a grandparent and the stories that I had heard about my dad, we almost never hugged my grandpa. Whatever he did was this a fist bump type of introduction. I said, when you see Jafar, do that, and it'll take him back. I never saw him do it, but I heard from Jafar that he did it later, and he was asking, like, how did you know about that? But I think that what Colman did was he really brought a nuanced approach where it was, you see both sides. My grandfather was a very hard parent. He grew up in a hard environment, and he was a motivator. And I think a lot of the times when we tell the story, we lose the reasoning and the rationale behind it.
Right.
And I'm hopeful that with this film and Colman's performance, audiences connect with that.
I think we all noticed in the film that and I've seen clips of, for example, your dad and the brothers referring to him as Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
Did you call him Joseph or Granddad?
I was lucky enough to call him Grandpa. I think later in life, my grandpa kind of softened up a little bit, realized the error of his ways. But I know a lot of my uncles and aunts grew up calling him Joe. I think at some point in their lives that maybe changed as well, and they started calling him Dad. But he was always Grandpa to me. And he had a presence, my grandpa. He had a reputation that preceded him, and I think that's exactly what – I don't know how Colman did it, but he had a presence. When he came on set, when there was so many people who saw him and they were scared of him, because I was lucky enough to be on my grandpa's good side.
Right.
But I heard if you were not on his good side, that was not fun. And Colman re-triggered some of those memories from some people.
God, if I'd ever met your granddad, I'd have been like Mr. Jackson for sure. Oh, man. What was your role as EP? What was your responsibility as one of the EPs on this film?
I carried a lot of different responsibilities, but above all was kind of the preservation and I think protection of my father's legacy and the way in which he's represented. There's so much, and thankfully it was a great team, so there wasn't much for me to do in that regards. Everybody was on the same page. I've been blessed to live the life that I do, and because of that, I know a lot of people. And a lot of people who worked with my dad who had certain stories. So in the development process, I was connecting Graham King with people who worked with him, who knew him, set up meetings. We were having conversations, really digging to get to know who my father was, whether it was as a bandmate or as a family person. And when we were getting into production, I always was trying to think about how can we incorporate either the fans or the kids, something to really bring it connected. And there's a moment actually in the county fair scene where Michael's singing
to the little
I'll
girl
Be There. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so the purpose of that is we wanted to show that my father was always reaching out to people and bringing them and inviting them in to be part of this community, especially those who are less fortunate than us. And when it comes to authenticity, we didn't really want to cast a kid who had to act like they had disabilities. And so we wanted to find someone who could play the role authentically. And the director or the production team had reached out asking if we could get anybody from our foundation or if we knew anybody, because in production, things move like that. And then you also have to deal with child labor laws and things like this. So we made a bunch of calls to some of our former board members, and we were lucky enough to get this girl who showed up. And it was really a heartwarming experience for me because I like spending time with kids, man. And I like to have them included in my dad's legacy. And I think it was really cool. And we found out maybe 2 months before the film dropped that she made it into the final cut. And she was a featured role in that final cut. So they called her and they let her know, and she was very excited.
Did she just lose her mind over that?
Yes, she was very happy. Very
Which
happy.
is, you love kids, which is why Heal LA is such an important thing for it, which I'll get to that in a couple of seconds here. Where was your cameo in the film? I missed it. I've only seen it once as we speak. I've only seen it once. And when I started the film, I'm like, I got to see where Prince's cameo is. I've seen it on social clips.
Yes.
But I got so locked in that I just didn't see it.
Yeah, the cameo is kind of one of those things where it was just an idea of like a fun thing to do. And I'll be honest with you, I shot like maybe a couple of cameos, and thankfully I made it in one of them. You know what I mean? I'm not an actor. I know, right? But I almost made it. I almost got cut on the chopping block. So I don't want to give any spoilers, but I'm right there near the end of the film. I think the symbolicism of me being with my father during a very pivotal moment and decision for him to make. I'm not playing myself, right? But just to be there with my cousin playing my father, I think is a fun little moment. But I'm near the last maybe 5-10 minutes.
Okay. God, when you put it like that, the symbolism of that, you weren't born at that point.
Yes.
But for you to be there, I mean, you kind of were there in a way, because he knew, let's not get into the whole spiritual side of it, but that's special that you were there as he was kind of taking control of his life.
Exactly.
All right, I said this earlier, some noms for this movie. Jafar needs a nomination for this. Colman needs the picture needs a I mean, your thoughts, once again, anything else you can add to that?
I think there's also a lot of superstition sometimes too, right? When it comes to these nominations and things.
So I can say it, you can't.
Yeah, for sure. And I think everybody on this from the top down deserves all the accolades that they can, because it really was a lot of work and it was a labor of love. And the amount of dedication that went into it shows on the screen. And I think that the most important thing for me, do the audiences resonate with it? Are they happy with it? And I've seen that so far in droves, and I hope that continues. And at the end of the day, I think it's the people's voice that matters the most.
I tell you what, this movie, to do a biopic on somebody that's arguably, or not even arguably, the most famous person in the world. We know how Michael Jackson walks, talks, looks, acts, from a fan's perspective, of course. How do you recreate that when we know you got to be really spot on? And man, just that, I mean, you guys did it.
Yeah.
I've seen this. I assume it's true. Maybe not. What can you say about part 2?
I think that there's obviously still so much of my father's story that deserves to be told. And I think that it is really just a matter of the story that we want to tell for part 2. With part 1, it is the child who became the king of pop and the origin story of this larger than life figure. And then the second question is, where do we take it from there?
Right.
And again, there's so much of his story, I think, that should be told and that deserves to be told. It's just, how do we get there?
By the way, Cam, in part 2, if there's a radio guy in there, I want to be the radio guy. Tell me one, movie aside, tell me one, 2-part question. One super normal thing that you and your dad did. I mean, just so normal, it'd be almost boring.
We took a lot of walks. We would go out in nature, depending on where we were living at the time. We'd take a lot of walks on the beach in the Middle East. We'd take a lot of walks through forests in Ireland. And
that's where you told me the paranormal story.
Exactly. So that's one of those things, right? We just do a lot of that. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the most normal things, but spending a lot of time outside playing tag or hide and seek, hiding behind trees and stuff.
Okay. Second part of that question. Give me the most Michael or unbelievable moment you did with your dad.
I look back on it now and it's shutting down toy stores. I think that's just insane.
That's crazy.
It's really, and for like 3 of us, for me, that was normal growing up, but looking back and seeing it now and I always remember they would cardboard or tape up the windows so he could have privacy in there.
Did you get it as a kid what they were doing, or did it hit you? Or
I understand it more now. Like, it was explained to me as a kid and why they were doing these things, but after seeing it kind of a third person point of view and why he had to do things like that, and us also having the benefit of hosting our toy store takeover a couple times with the Heal Los Angeles Foundation, it's not an easy thing to do to shut down a toy store, but it really is. It's one of those MJ things,
Hey, speaking of Heal LA, what's new with Heal Los Angeles? What any kind of updates you can give?
We are in our 6th year of programming with Laredo Street Elementary. We have 3 programs that run more or less all year round. We have the virtual cooking class. We have our Power Up Fitness Clinic. We have our Smile program, which is a mental health kind of mindfulness and yoga or meditation program. We have our Career Day initiative, which is really great.
I couldn't make the last one. I want to make the next one.
Yes, and we're very excited. We have a couple people who worked on the Michael movie coming to join us. Bill Corso did it last year, and the kids loved him. He, for those of you that don't know, he was the man responsible for all of the makeup on our lead actors for the Michael movie. And when he came to the school, he brought makeup to cut the kids' hands, and they were all just losing their mind over it.
Whoa. Okay, and are you doing the Thriller Night again this year? Because you didn't do it last year.
We have
you did the movie thing
another event called This Is Thriller that's hosted at the Palace Cinema or the Palace Theater, and we are doing that again this year.
Okay, cool. And the Palace Theater is where portions of Thriller were shot.
Exactly.
If you guys don't know, describe the armband. You had an armband made from your dad's shirt. What was that for, and the story on that?
So we wanted I really can't take credit for this idea either. This is my brother's idea. We wanted to show support for our father in a way that was authentic and true to us, and not in a way that was so flashy, look at the attention stuff. And my father always wore a red armband, and as he progressed later in life, he was using it as with his platform to promote social causes or something that he was trying to champion. And for BG and I, and randomly, we didn't plan this with Jafar, but he also had a red band in Berlin. It was just a great moment for us to carry a piece of him. And it was in my brother's idea. He wanted to ask Michael Bush to do the add-ons to our suits. And when I spoke, we gave our ideas to Michael Bush. He's like, no problem. I got it taken care of. And he really added on that special element to you. And I don't even know if he knows what that red corduroy means to me.
But it was cut from a shirt of your dad's?
So Michael Bush was my dad's costume designer for most of his life, and also made his regular walking clothes or whatever you would call them. And he had a lot of fabrics that he would use to make these shirts. So the fabrics that the red armband, my brother, myself, and also all of the families from Heal LA were wearing were from that fabric collection.
Gotcha. Once again, Prince Jackson's hanging up. Prince, final thing I'll ask you to say is, what would you like to say to fans who love your dad, love this movie, love you? Message to the fans.
Eternally grateful for all of your love and support throughout the years and continued support. I hope that the film makes you guys happy and proud. I know it does for me. So thank you again.
Prince, it's a pleasure to see you. Congrats on everything, dude.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. At the end of every interview, fist bump to make it official.
Let's do it.